if they don't make it to the finals, then this might be one of the biggest L's in NBA history.
Hot topics.
Embiid never had the mentality to win a championship. I don't think he ever will win a championship.
The best analysis.
But Jokic, he might be the best player in the league this season. He really might be the MVP.
This is the Full Court Report.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Episode number 34 of the 2024-2025 NBA season. How you fellas doing?
Pretty good.
Chilling. How about you, Jorie?
Well, it's a wrap. The regular season. It's done. Just like that.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good, Toby, to answer your question. Excited for the play-ins / playoffs. But before we do all that, and we're also going to do our end of season award predictions. But before we do all that, I have some sad news to report. I don't know what's going on. I kind of blame Spencer. He started this. I think it's his fault. Michael Malone, he's out. He's out of town in Denver. As is their GM, Calvin Booth. So Coach Malone, he had served as the Nuggets head coach since the 2015-16 season. That was Jokic's rookie season. He won the franchise's first title in 2023. And earlier this season, he passed Doug Moe as the winningest coach in Nuggets history. As for Calvin Booth, he was promoted to the Nuggets GM position for the past 3 seasons after Tim Connolly left for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Booth's first season in Denver was when they won the title in 2023. So, I don't know. I think when I saw this news, it was bittersweet. I think Michael Malone gave everything he could to this organization. It's definitely sad to see him go. He's the one, I think, that really built a winning culture in Denver. In 2018, he lost a home play-in, quote-unquote play-in game for the A seed. It was the last game of the regular season, and whoever won this game was the A seed in the Western Conference. It was Nuggets Timberwolves, kind of sparking this whole rivalry that they have now. But they lost that game, but every season after that, they had made the playoffs, 6 straight seasons under Coach Malone. Obviously, like I said, he won a title 2023. The type of coach that he was, I feel like he wasn't easy on his players. He was often call them out in the media for not playing hard enough. So I can only imagine what it was like behind closed doors. And I think maybe after 10 years, that forward and sometimes aggressive coaching began to fall on deaf ears. And I feel like that's part of the reason why he's now no longer the coach. Maybe a new coaching philosophy is needed in Denver to get back to championship contention. In the interim, it's going to be David Adelman. He's been there since the 2017-18 season. So I don't know. Playoffs are approaching. Like I said, I made a joke, but Taylor Jenkins, he had just got let go right before the playoffs as well. So I don't know. Interesting with all these firings at the end of the season, but what do you guys feel about this?
Before we get to that, Jorie, do you think that this is the right time to be trying to make a coaching change as a Nuggets fan?
Good question, Spencer.
Right before the playoffs, I think the ownership group of the Nuggets had mentioned that they hoped this decision would spark the Nuggets and kind of get them, I guess, riled up maybe for the playoffs and potentially push them to have another deep run. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think really I just feel like it has to be player related at this point. And it's weird because I've always felt like Michael Malone connected well with everyone that came through the Nuggets organization over the years. But again, like I said, I feel like he did have kind of an aggressive, very forward, no nonsense type of coaching style. And again, maybe after so many years, it just kind of started, it fizzles out. I think we so often believe that coaches who have success, like Michael Malone winning a title, are going to be there forever. But I think that's what makes guys like Greg Popovich or Eric Spoelstra so special, because they are kind of there. Steve Kerr as well. They're through the ups and downs. Last season, really, if you think about it, was kind of the first season the Nuggets didn't achieve what they were supposed to achieve, in my opinion. They lost in the second round to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And just like that, he didn't even get another chance to go back to the playoffs. So to me, I feel like coaching is such a difficult job. You have to constantly be improving, basically. If you're not doing that, then I don't know, you're going to be on the hot seat, especially when you have a player as good as Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, Jory, you kind of stole my fire a little bit there because I was gonna mention that little thing. I had definitely seen that same report that the owner, you know, he fired both Malone and the GM because apparently those two were disagreeing how to play Westbrook and how much Westbrook should be playing. Again, I don't know why Westbrook is the scapegoat, but apparently they were arguing about that a lot. The GM didn't think that Michael Malone should be playing Russell Westbrook and had playing somebody else. So the owner was just like, "Yeah, you're both out of here." Clean slate kind of with the front office, and yeah, he had said that he had hoped that it would reinvigorate the locker room and the players just in time for the playoffs. So I don't know. I had the same reaction as to when the Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins, like right before the playoffs. What are you doing? But all this came out, so I don't know. It might have been the right move.
Mm. Well, building off what you said, Justin, about questioning whether or not Russ should be playing and how much time he deserves, I feel like mid-April isn't really the time to be asking yourselves questions about who is and isn't in the rotation. And I think in a stacked West, especially, having all of those kinds of questions when other teams are nailing down what they're about to do and who their team identity is going to be going into the playoffs, you're just kind of putting yourself in a bad spot. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to move in a different direction with the coach or the GM, but I think when you look at the Nuggets and the Grizzlies too, I don't think that the NBA owners are making the right moves, like trying to make these kind of drastic changes right before the playoffs happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you, Spencer. I mean, I'm not a fan of these firings. Um, I look back at the Lakers, winning the chip and then firing Frank Vogel shortly after. Tried it out with Darvin Ham. Obviously, that didn't work either. And then the Bucks, shortly after winning their championship, getting rid of Budenholzer. And I wouldn't say that they're in a very great position right now either. So I don't agree with it. Like Jory said, this seems like more of a, obviously I think more will come out, but it seems like a player sort of driven decision. And we touched on it too. Like I think it was the president of basketball operations. He said that he was hoping the players would play with more fun and basically more freedom. So I feel like now isn't the right time. Like Spencer said, right before the playoffs. I think they're just going to lose their footing and it's going to be hard to adjust to a new coach. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think this is going to fare well for the Nuggets, at least this season. And who knows, if they'll hire somebody for next season or what.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they're going to do a pretty expansive coaching search in the offseason. I mean, David Adelman has, like I mentioned, he's been around, so he knows the team well. But I feel like you got to kind of exercise all resources when going after a coach, because I do think it's going to be a very sought after position. You get to coach one of the best players in the league. So, I mean, I'm kind of, like I said, it's bittersweet. It's sad to see him leave. A lot of like iconic moments over the years with him, but I think like a new philosophy could be really fun to watch with someone as good as Jokic in this team because they've only been coached by Michael Malone. So, as for the GM, like I said, I think it was probably time for him to go. I think over the past couple of years, we've seen KCP leave, Bruce Brown leave. You know, a lot of decisions that didn't make a lot of sense, but you can justify it because you have a player as good as Jokic and he just can elevate any player around him. But I don't think that's the way you should be kind of constructing the roster moving forward. I feel like you do have to surround Jokic with better talent, and we can really see how high this potential could be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the future. I don't think I don't know how I feel about this year's playoffs, but I feel like this could be a brush of fresh air. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know, but any final thoughts? I had a lot to get off my chest there. So
Yeah, no, it was you had to. I understand it, but yeah, I don't know. I think time will tell. Obviously, I guess I'm the only one who, kind of thinks they might have made the right decision. With all these reports that the players kind of weren't really messing with Mike Malone anymore. You don't want to be going into the playoffs just kind of being like, I'm not listening to this clown. Like you don't want to have that kind of bad vibe during the game. So I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as or as questionable as the Grizzlies firing Taylor Jenkins, but you know, it is what it is. It's the NBA. You'll find a new coach and you'll keep it moving.
yeah, exactly. Life goes on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like I said earlier, we wanted to use this episode to finalize our season award predictions. I did not grab the predictions that we had at the beginning or middle of the season, but we get to finalize our answers at least. So, like I said, with the regular season coming to a conclusion, I want to discuss who we all think should win each award, not who we think the voters are going to give the award to, if that makes sense. I feel like there is a difference. So I want to hear what you guys actually think, should these awards be. That being said, I want to start with Sixth Man of the Year. I feel like it's not the most notable award, but I feel like there's a lot of good candidates this year. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. Justin, we can start with you, I guess.
I don't know. For most of this list, I stuck pretty close to who's probably gonna get voted in. I just, I feel like there's not a lot of competition for most of the awards. Maybe two of them. I might have some spicy answers, but I'm just gonna say Peyton Pritchard's. He's had multiple games where I just look at my phone, check the box score, and he's the leading scorer in the whole game. So, if you're doing that on the Boston Celtics, you must be a bucket getter. So, I'm not that big of a fan if I'm being honest, but I think he deserves the award.
What
Yeah,
about you, Spence?
I think he deserves it, but that's not who I picked. You see the logo? We're going with the Pistons today. I honestly have Malik Beasley, a sleeper pick. He's averaging 16 points a game this season. That's a little bit more than Peyton Pritchard at 14 points per game. His efficiency is honestly lower than Peyton Pritchard's is, but I think when you think about the Celtics, like coming fresh off the championship that they won last season, I think it's easy to underrate Malik Beasley's impact because their record and team isn't as good overall as the Celtics are. But I think he's had a phenomenal year and it's kind of gone under the radar.
I like that
Okay.
pick.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you, Justin. Though I like Peyton Pritchard for this pick. Uh, I think just today scored like 34 points. I don't know if I mean, it looked like he had a lot of minutes. So I don't know if he came off the bench tonight, but he's especially recently he's been playing really well, and I also feel like he's a great defender. He might be a little bit undersized, but he's really, he'll stick with the ball handler. He's tough to cross over. He'll just make it tricky off ball as well. So I like Peyton Pritchard. Obviously, he's helping the Celtics to the, you know, uh, I think, are they top 3 in the league or top 4?
Think they're
Either way, they're
three.
one of the best teams, and he's a big part of that. So I think I like Peyton Pritchard for this one.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you guys, Justin and Toby. I said Peyton Pritchard, but I like Malik Beasley, Spencer. He would be my runner up if I had a vote.
Yeah.
I think he finished second in 3-pointers made this season, which is crazy as a bench player, only
Yeah.
behind Ant. So he had a really great season for Detroit. But like you guys said, I just feel like it's kind of crazy how much Peyton Pritchard stands out sometimes on such a talented roster in Boston. Like he had a 43-point game earlier this season, off the bench against the Blazers. He had 5 double doubles, and averaged 14 points a game off the bench in 77 games. So I feel like, I don't know, like you guys said, I feel like he kind of stuffs the stat sheet. He's a good defender in my opinion, like you said, Toby, despite being a little bit smaller. So I kind of feel like it's his award to lose, but we'll see. Yeah. So shout out to all the bench guys getting it done. But moving on, I wanted to do most improved. This is another fun award. I feel like recently it's been going to players who we feel like have high potential, and then they get to that potential and everyone gives them the award. Like, for example, Ja Morant won most improved. I feel like a lot of people expected Ja Morant to be, one of the best point guards in the league. But I don't know. It's interesting how this award gets voted on, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Most improved this season?
Um, I don't really have any stats to back it up. It's just kind of like a gut feeling type of thing. I'm gonna say Dyson Daniels. I just feel like before this season, nobody knew Dyson Daniels, but he's got the sweet nickname, Great Barrier Thief. He's obviously, you know, in the DPOY conversation. So, I don't know. I just feel like last year nobody knew who he was. This year, people know about Dyson Daniels. People know the name Dyson Daniels. So, just for that reason, I'm gonna give him most improved.
Yeah, I also had Dyson Daniels winning this one. This year he's averaging 14.2 points a game. I think last year he was averaging 5.8. So I think he had the biggest improvement from last year to this year. I think Cade is the runner up to me, but like you were saying, I think if players are too talented and they're already putting up such great numbers, even if you do become like a first time all-star or something, a slight step up in your points per game from for Cade, for example, it's like 22.7 points a game last year to 25.7 this year, 7.5 assists last year to 9.2 this year. And those are great improvements. But to me, Dyson Daniels got this one locked up. Pun intended.
There you go.
All right. I like Dyson Daniels. I was thinking about it. But I chose a player whose head coach just recently got fired. I chose Christian Brown. I've been a fan of
Ooh.
Christian
Okay.
Brown for a few years now, since he's been in the league pretty much. His numbers across the board have improved. Obviously, he's been getting more minutes and has more responsibility this year. He went from about 7 points to 15.5. His field goal percentage went from like 46% to like 58% this year. Obviously, he's still a great defender. More rebounds, more assists. And yeah, I think he's really proven himself as one of the most important players on that team. So for that reason, my pick this year is Christian Brown.
I like it. No, that's a good pick. That's a
I-
snipe.
Yeah, that's
I
tough.
appreciate it. I wanted to pick Christian Brown, but I didn't want to be too much of a Nuggets homer, so I had to pick someone else. But I that's a great pick, Toby. I think you're totally right. But for me, Tyler Hero. I feel like I feel like his career is so interesting because he came into the league and was a rookie on a finals team when the Heat were in the bubble, and he was kind of a standout during that run for Miami. And then he took a slight step up, I guess, and won most improved. Or sorry, no, not most improved. Sixth man of the year. Jeez, getting all mixed up. And then he kind of plateaued for like 3 straight seasons where he was kind of putting up the same stats, same averages, efficiency, everything. And it felt like Tyler Hero was capped at whatever that was. And then everything goes on this year with Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo, after a summer with Team USA, he didn't really show up to, I guess, expectations this season. Tyler Hero, first-time All-Star. Not only that, he won the three-point contest, but he put up career highs in points, assists, steals, games played, and effective field goal percentage. So I feel like he just kind of took a step forward that a lot of people weren't expecting. Yes, I think he has a bigger role now with Jimmy Butler gone, but I think he kind of filled those shoes pretty well for Miami. And, moving forward, who knows? I feel like they might need another piece to get back to like being a real contender again, but he's definitely going to be around, I think, in Miami for a while.
Yeah,
Didn't think about Hero. It's a good pick.
I like that pick. I personally don't think he'll win it. I think he's kind of the same case that we've been getting where he was already pretty good, and then he obviously improved in a lot of different categories, like you said, but a marginal increase, I would say. He was already getting buckets, so. But I do think that he'll be in Miami for a while. I think he's just got that, that vibe to him, that Miami vibe. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I like that spot for him.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I respect the pick.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like you said, it could go in any direction. But I want to get your guys' opinions on the rookie of the year. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this rookie class is just so interesting. After this whole season, I still don't know who the best player is going to be down the line. But yeah, what do you guys think? Rookie of the year.
I had Stephon Castle winning this one. I think it would have been interesting to see what the race would have looked like if what's his name on the 76ers?
Jared McCain.
Yeah, Jared McCain. Sorry, I was drawing a blank. Had been able to stay healthy. But I think Steph Castle had a great year this year. He really balled out. I do want to highlight Zachary Rissache's 38-point game against the Nets. How you feel about that, Toby?
I don't like it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think his future is going to be bright in Atlanta, though. But I got Steph Castle for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think he said it himself. He feels like he's got it locked up, and I agree. I think, I think earlier in the year I had picked Dalton Connect to win it. That guy basically got traded, and then
Yeah.
trade got vetoed. So
What a season.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Stephon Castle. It's pretty obvious. I feel like.
Yeah,
I think I saw Sar said he was going to win it too, though.
Nah, I don't see that happening. Jared McCain said he was going to win it too.
Yeah, a lot of people
Oh.
said that, I guess.
So I think at the beginning of the year I chose Risa Shea, and then later on I transitioned to Jared McCain. I think I agree with both of you guys. I think we're 3 for 3. I think it's Stephon Castle this year. 14.7 points. I think 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He's had more responsibility with the injuries that the Spurs, suffered. So I was really trying to figure out a way to make it like Risa Shea can win it, but I feel like Stephon Castle's been better offensively, and yeah, I don't think I think it's his for the taking.
Well, this we're gonna look real stupid if he doesn't win because I also picked Steph Castle. No, I mean I think you guys really hit on it. He was the only rookie this season to score over 1,000 points. So there's that. But I just feel like his game is really mature for his age. I just feel like he looks really in control at a lot of times, very poised. But he's obviously a great athlete. I mean, he was in the slam dunk contest this year, so like he definitely has those eye popping plays as well. But yeah, man, I feel like he's going to be a really good player for them moving forward. Hopefully, Wembanyama can get healthy, because I feel like those two could be a really scary tandem. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox as well. But yeah, I feel like Steph Castle, Rookie of the Year, lock it in.
Yeah, yes, sir.
But all right. Now some of the heavy hitter awards, I would say. But we'll say coach of the year. This is kind of a big one. I feel like there's a handful of guys I think that could win this award. But what do you think?
I want to go last because I don't think anybody's picking my pick.
Okay, Spencer, you want to go first?
Yeah, I could start it off. I mean, back to the Pistons, baby. I got JB Bickerstaff.
Oh, okay.
I think for me, I don't know what the official criteria is for winning the award, but I think improvement over last season is like the biggest measurement for me. And to go from winning 14 games last season to a legitimate playoff team because they're the sixth seed, they're not even in the play-in. And I think that that kind of turnaround is insane. Like I looked it up and the 23-24 Pistons, excluding lockout seasons and shortened seasons, have the sixth worst win percentage in NBA history. So to take a team that was historically bad to a real playoff team, I think he deserves the award for that.
Yeah, no, I think that makes 100%
Yeah, nah.
sense.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
You
I
make a
wasn't
good
expecting
point.
that.
Yeah. Uh, you did make some good points, I gotta say. But in my opinion, I'm gonna go with my boy Kenny Atkinson this year. I
Okay.
think. Listen, I know that the Cavs had a good team last year. Uh, I think they finished like in the fourth seed, but this year, I mean, he was able to improve them by about 15 games, lead them to a number one spot. They got a crazy uh, defense. Obviously, they have great players, but I feel like the schemes he's been implementing really work. And he's been a great coach in this league for years. I can say it firsthand. So, yeah, I don't care that, I don't feel like they should give it to a more underrated team just because they're a little bit worse, if that makes any sense. I think Kenny Atkinson fully deserves it, and I hope he wins.
Okay. I yeah, no, I think you made a lot of good points, Spencer, about JB Bickerstaff, but I think me and you, Toby, were aligned. I said Kenny Atkinson. Like I said, or like you said, it's his first season, and he essentially took the last year's roster, the same roster. Really, the only change I think that happened was Ty Jerome basically became that kind of backup point guard slash shooting guard instead of Karis LeVert. Um, and Ty Jerome has been really good this year. He might have been the most improved player candidate. But last year, 48 wins. They were fourth in the East. This year, 64 wins, first in the conference. That's the second most in Cavs history behind the 2009 team with LeBron. He won MVP that year. Mo Williams was an all-star. So
Oh,
and Mike Brown was the head coach. But they're first in offensive rating this year and eighth in defensive rating. And I also feel like he really contributed to the development of not only Darius Garland, but Evan Mobley. They were both all stars this year. So I feel like he really helped two of their kind of top players take a step forward in their progression. And I feel like that would really benefited this team. So yeah, I think it's Kenny Atkinson. But if I had to say a runner up, it'd probably be Bickerstaff, or maybe actually I don't want to say because Justin, you might have a pick here.
You better not say Tibbs. You better not say
Oh
Tibbs.
no, not Tibbs. That guy might be on the hot seat since we're talking about all these coaches getting fired, dude. If the Knicks get bounced in the first round, I think Tibbs might get fired. But coach of the year, this was the spicy pick I was talking about earlier. JJ Redick.
Oh
JJ Redick.
wow!
First year, right. First year with the Lakers. that's a tough job, the Lakers head coach job. This whole nonsense with Darvin Ham, hands in his pockets Ham, Frank Vogel, just a lot of turnover the last couple years. Guy comes in first year, 50 wins, third seed in the West, and he had to coach through the craziest deadline trade in the history of the league. So, he's had a lot to deal with. Um, I don't know. I think it's just the right pick. I like a lot of the points you guys came up with for Kenny Atkinson and JB Bickerstaff, but it's gonna be JJ Redick.
I mean, not to get all sad, but he also dealt with the fires out there in LA and he lost his
Yeah,
home. So I mean
yeah.
that was another thing that added to this hectic season for JJ in his first year as coach. So I mean, like you said, kudos to him with everything he had to deal with because it's absolutely insane what he's done. But I thought you were gonna say Ime Udoka, Justin. I
No.
thought that was your spicy pick because I feel like he's also a really good contender for this award. Kind of taking Houston from the 10th seed, I think it was last year, to the 2 seed this year.
Yeah, he's coaching his butt off.
So I feel like he's definitely up there in my mind as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. If we're for coach of the year for this season, I think JJ Redick's getting it, but in my opinion, the best coach in the league, I was telling Spencer, is a guy on the Celtics. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Joe Mazzulla.
Yes, dude, Joe Mazzulla. Dude, he is such a psycho. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's
He's
great.
the only redeeming
Basketball
factor.
sicko.
He's the only redeeming factor about the Celtics team.
I feel like Ime could have coached that team to a chip too.
I mean, he
Oh,
almost
I
did.
mean,
He
I
literally
think he
almost
could have
did.
too.
Literally.
I think he could have too, but Joe Mazzulla, like you said, Jorie, the guy's a sicko. I just like him. I really mess
Yeah.
with.
No,
Perfect fit for Boston.
he's a funny guy. He's definitely a funny guy.
He knows
Yeah.
a thing or two. He's
But
seen it too.
yeah, so coach of the year. Well, it's good that we all kind of went in a little bit different directions. I feel like there's a lot of good candidates this year. But another award that has a handful of candidates, defensive player of the year. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to go last again, Justin, or do you want to go first?
No, I'll switch it up. Go first. Dyson Daniels. I'm sick and tired of the big men getting it just because they can block a shot and get a rebound. Dyson Daniels he broke a record as from what I know, I think, right? Or he's close to breaking a record.
I think, yeah, well, he averaged 3 steals per game this year, which was like, I think the most maybe in like 35 years or something like that. So definitely, I mean, even if he didn't break a record, what he did was historic.
That's
So
historic. That's a historic stat. So I feel like he's a guard. He's putting up historic numbers. He should win most improved. You might as well just give him 2 awards, bro. You might as well just give him the second award, give him the DPOY. And I mean, to be honest, if it was good, it was going to be Wemby. And if you're going to compare big men, I don't think any other big men or big man is, even close to what Wemby was doing. So I think you give it to Dyson Daniels. I think you give it to a guard. He's doing his thing. Dyson Daniels.
all right. Spence, what are you thinking?
I had Evan Mobley for this one.
Ooh.
I feel like his
Cleveland.
defensive impact is a big reason for why Cleveland's been able to lock up that 1 seed. He's been balling.
Yeah.
Facts.
Real quick, before anybody else says anything, the reason I didn't pick Evan Mobley is because Cleveland also has Jared Allen. And I feel like having somebody who's that good defensively aside from Evan Mobley should kind of, it should be like a little bit of a negative to how good Evan Mobley is on defense because he's got a lot of help down there.
So do you think Draymond Green should be affected by having someone like Jimmy Butler next to him then?
Well, I don't think me personally, I don't think Draymond Green should get the award. I don't think he should really even be considered for it.
I think he might be the actual NBA favorite for it.
I
We'll
don't know
see.
why.
All right, what are you thinking, Toby? Toby's gonna say Draymond now.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, Spencer. I said Evan Mobley. this was also, I think, my choice like at the middle of the season, but I feel like he might not have the craziest, like if you look at the stats, like steals, blocks, and stuff like that, but he does make a huge impact. He does get a lot of tip passes, and I feel like I mean, I kind of see your point with, he has help with Jared Allen and stuff, but he's also the one affecting the shots and probably allowing Jared Allen to get, a block or two per game. So I feel like he can pretty much, he's very mobile, so he can guard most positions on switches. And like Spencer said, the Cavs are one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I think he's a huge part of that. So I feel like best defender on the best defensive team in the league. I feel like he deserves it.
All right. Yeah, I also said Evan Mobley. I think he's my mid-season pick. We probably all said Wemby at the start, but yeah. I think Evan Mobley was my mid-season pick. I'm going to just read off some stats. It might give you a headache, but I feel like it kind of explains why I believe he's going to win. So he would be the first Cavs defensive player of the year. LeBron almost won it in 2009, that same season I was just talking about when they won a franchise record number of games. He lost to Dwight Howard that year. But Evan Mobley, he ranks 5th in the league in blocks with 1.6. And he was the only player this season to average a block and a half and less than 2 fouls per game. He also defended 498 shots within 6 feet of the rim, and allowing opponents to shoot 54.4%. So there was only 20 players that defended at least 400 attempts within 6 feet of the rim. Only Walker Kessler allowed a lower field goal percentage. So I feel like he was an elite rim protector in that aspect. But not only that, he also defended 352 three-pointers this season, one of only 6 big men to do that. So it kind of speaks to his versatility a little bit. An opponent shot 33.2%. Only Derek White, Lou Dort, and Keyshawn George in Washington held opponents to a lower percentage with at least 350 attempts defended. So I don't know. I kind of feel like he's I don't know if Swiss Army knife is the right word, but I feel like can impact defense on every part of the floor. Like I said, super versatile. He finished 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting in his 2nd season in the league, and I just feel like he's got it locked up this year.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're coming from, best defender on the best defensive team, but I think I might have to disagree with you guys. So, when it ends up being Dyson Daniels, I could say I told you so.
Okay, there you go. Well, yeah, we'll see. But, all right, the big award, MVP. Yeah, this is for all the marbles. I'm curious to know what you guys have to say.
I'm curious to what you have to say, Jorie.
Okay. I mean, hey, that's fine. I got my guy. He's right behind me.
No, not
SGA.
That guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I'm sure, based on your reactions, maybe you guys pick somebody else, but I want to maybe speak to why I think SGA is the winner this year. The Thunder, they won a franchise high 68 games. So, more than any of the Kevin Durant teams, Russell Westbrook, etc. So an all-time great season just for OKC in general. That was 16 games better than the 2nd-seeded Houston Rockets. So they absolutely boat raced the Western Conference, which was pretty competitive this year, but they really just made it look super easy. He led the league in scoring. He was 2nd among all guards in both steals and blocks. And this season, he averaged 41.5 points per 100 possessions. That's the 5th highest mark of all time. So I feel like SGA is kind of having an underrated, not only in terms of scoring season, but efficiency as well. I think his true shooting percentage was like 64% or something like that, which is very good. I think that ranks probably, not like an all-time mark necessarily. A lot of those are reserved for like big men, but for a guard, if you're in the 60s, you're doing something right. Not only that, he played a large portion of the season without Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Alex Caruso. And like I said, they still finished with the best record in the league by a wide margin. And he was the one that played the most games and minutes on this Thunder team this season. So I feel like he is the reason why they were so consistently good. And yeah, I know there's another guy who probably deserves the award, but to me, I feel like if that guy was in this same position, it wouldn't even be a question. So I think SGA is my guy.
I can't believe what I'm hearing, but I think it's Jokic. First big man to average a triple double. Third guy ever to average a triple double. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think, he's the one guy. I think literally the one guy in the whole league. Maybe you could put LeBron in there, who maybe not now with Jokic or with Luka Doncic, but I think Jokic is the only guy in the league that you take him off of his team and they might not win a game. Like they really might not win a game.
What? Okay.
So I don't know. I think he's just so important to the Nuggets. I think his role, there's nobody else on the team who could fill his role, on a nightly basis if they had to. I just feel like the Thunder have a lot of other really good players on their team. Holmgren's been in and out, but I don't know. I just feel like the Thunder are a little bit of a better team, so that, in my opinion, kind of lessens what Shai Gilgeous is doing. But I'm gonna give it to Jokic, man. Triple double. I just feel like stats alone, you got to put him up there.
Fair enough. Spence, what are you thinking?
I really think it's such a close race. Like the Thunder being so far out ahead of everybody else in the West is definitely like ridiculous because it really is so close for every other team in the West. But then when I think about like to me what MVP means, like if I was to take Jokic off of the Nuggets, I don't see them even making the play-in. Like I feel like that team would be completely terrible. But not saying I think the Thunder would be amazing, but I think that they're the deepest team in the West. And I think that's why they've been able to stay so much farther ahead of everyone else, even when people like Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein or Alex Caruso, like you said, are out. So I think you got to give it to Jokic. Averaging a triple double isn't easy, and I'm really just disappointed in you, Mix, for not picking Jokic as a Nuggets fan,
Yeah.
especially with the SGA put the fries in the bag SGA logo behind
I
you.
had to throw everybody off, No, I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I totally hear you. The triple double is insane. But to me, it's like if the Nuggets won a franchise record number of games and Jokic led the league in scoring, like what would
Yeah,
we
I
be
mean,
saying? Like, you know
the
what I
voters are
mean?
completely valid either way that they
And it's
go.
just
Like, I would never say that this was like a fluke MVP for SGA or that he didn't deserve it if he won. Like, he's been playing out of his mind. And the
Yeah.
efficiency definitely can't be overlooked.
yeah,
Like, as a guard to be putting up those kind of numbers is ridiculous.
yeah. And I think SGA probably has a little bit, I don't know, gets a little bit of criticism because there's like this whole notion that he's a foul baiter and
I mean,
doesn't play the game ethically. But I really feel like he's just, I don't know.
I
I
think
just
he
feel
gets
like
the superstar treatment at the line. But, I mean, any
that's
top
not. He's
tier
not the
player
only
in the
player in the
NBA,
league.
that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Any top tier player in the NBA is getting that.
Don't forget about voter fatigue, though. I bring it
I
up every
knew
time.
you were gonna say that. This guy is voter fatigue. This guy and his voter fatigue. Bro.
It's a real thing. That's why I think SGA is going to win it this year. And I've been critical of his game a lot this year, I feel like, but I can't deny he's the best player on the best team. It's, I mean, the efficiency is crazy. Yeah, I think it's his for the taking. I think the voters want to see somebody new, and I feel like SGA is sort of kind of becoming like the face of the league a little bit. I don't want to speak too early,
You
but
think?
I think he's sort of like becoming like when I think of the NBA, obviously LeBron will always be the face of the league until he retires, but I think SGA is starting to, you know, make a name for himself.
I think the league is angling for Ant to be the face of the league.
You just gotta stop cursing so much.
Yeah.
He's got to tone it down a little bit.
I
Chill out with the fines, but I
I
think
think
it's him.
I think I saw that guy, Gilbert Arenas. I always, Spencer, I don't know how long you've been around, how many times you've heard me say it, but I refer to the Gills Arena a little bit on this podcast because I like some of the stuff that they talk about. They don't really talk about a lot of the mainstream stuff. They do a lot of, the random reports from no name guys that you just kind of see on social media. But damn, where was I going with this?
Kills the
Um,
arena.
what were we just talking about?
Talking
Face
about
of the
the
league.
face of the
SGA.
league.
Oh yeah, face of the league. He said that the league is trying to keep it as an American. They don't want a European or, overseas guy being the face of the league because, it's kind of just like it's supposed to be an American league. It's the NBA and the USA, like they want an American guy. But if we're being honest, dude, all of the best players in the league are all foreign. So, I mean,
But
Yeah.
when you think about like advertisements and things like that, like whose face do you see the most off the NBA? Like when you're watching commercials and things like that. Because as good as SGA is, and for him to be probably an MVP lock at this point, I don't see him nearly as much as I see Anthony Edwards.
I mean, I would say probably in order, the most like the player that I see the most is probably like LeBron, probably Ant, and then probably SGA is probably third, if you ask me, from what I see.
I feel like I see SGA mainly like on the internet more so than like on TV.
Yeah, maybe,
Because
maybe.
he's the aura king.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I see like the viral interviews and stuff like that all the time. But even with all of that, like I feel like if the NBA wanted him to be the face of the league, it would be so easy for them to like push for that. But even like between him, Wemby, or even someone like Luka or Jokic, like the way that they've been dominating, the NBA could have already propped them up to be like the next face after LeBron. But I feel like we haven't really seen them cling to anyone the way that they have with Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I agree with you a little bit, but I think if we give it another 3 or 4 years, no doubt, I think it's going to be Wemby. Like they're not going to be able to deny that it's Wembenyama. I think he'll just be so good, like they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to keep it from him.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, we got to see.
But this MVP race, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I
So
don't
kind
know.
of random, but I'm curious if like how we see advertisements, if the NBA like advertises differently, like in other countries. Like if we were in Canada, like would we just see like all SGA ads
Huh. Yeah,
or like something
maybe.
like that?
Maybe. Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, there you go. I
RJ
don't know.
Barrett?
Yeah, there's a lot of good Canadian basketball players.
Yes, sir.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, it's cool that we're split. I didn't think it would be split this way, but it's interesting that we're going half and half here. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, like I said at the start of the show, the regular season is over, so that means the conference standings are set, and we now know the play-in games that are going to be going on this week. On Tuesday, we got the 8-7 matchups. So for the play-in, the winner of this 8-7 game gets the 7 seed. The loser then goes on to play the winner of the 9-10 game for the final 8th seed in the conference. But that being said, in the East, the 8-7 matchup is the Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. This game will be in Orlando. So what are you guys thinking? Which way are you leaning?
Give me the Magic.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
gonna take Atlanta. They actually just played against each other today, and Atlanta won. So, they put an end to Orlando's, I think it was a 7 game win streak, if I remember correctly. So, that's kind of a statement win right there in itself. And I think they're just gonna take that momentum and beat them again on Tuesday. You said, Jory?
Yeah, these games are on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna beat them again on Tuesday.
Yeah, I also chose Atlanta. I think they're going to be a tough defensive matchup for Orlando, and I also feel like Trey Young kind of thrives in opponent territory.
He always
So,
plays better in big moments.
and he's going to step up. So I think I got Atlanta.
I'm gonna go Orlando.
All
I
right.
feel like I know they've had an up and down season, but I still feel like Paolo and Franz, their highs when they're on, I feel like they're very hard to stop. And you know, Atlanta, like you guys said, the Trey Young aspect, it's definitely has that takeover ability in big games, but I feel like Orlando's gonna get it. So we'll see. But moving on to the Western Conference. Spencer, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this one mostly. The eighth seeded Memphis Grizzlies versus the seventh seeded Golden State Warriors. Which way are you leaning? I feel like I know, but we'll see.
Being honest, I think the Warriors are going to win the game, and it's going to be the most ridiculous officiating I've ever seen in my life. I'm
There it
expecting the
is.
most one-sided bias refereeing I've ever witnessed in my life.
Okay.
I hate the Warriors, dude. I'm
Oh
definitely
man.
biased, but
Yeah.
nah, I think they're going to win that.
Okay. Okay.
I think Steph's going to go for like 40.
Um, yeah, I agree. I think the Warriors are gonna take it pretty easily. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, but I think they'll get a solid win. I just think with the Grizzlies firing their coach and today, granted it is the last game of the season, so it doesn't really mean much, but you guys had 7 players out today in today's game, and a lot of them were starters. You had Desmond Bane out, Ja, Santi Aldama, a couple other guys. Um, they could just be, last game of the season, we're just going to sit them out and, put them on the IR for no reason. But, um, I don't know if any of those are actual serious injuries and they miss that game. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
easy for the Warriors.
I mean, speaking of serious injuries, I did see that Jalen Wells is out for the season. And I
Yeah,
think
with
that's a pretty big loss going into the playoffs.
his wrist.
Wrist, concussion, I think like a face contusion or something.
Dang, I didn't hear about that.
Not
Yeah,
great.
like fell flat on his face.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
he
think I
bounces
I
back.
also got the Golden State Warriors. I think I just don't trust the Timberwolves, like Justin said, especially without their head coach. Uh, I think those, obviously those three veterans, big three on that team, they've been through it. They've been through all the big moments. So this is just another game to them, and I think they're just going to take care of business.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Golden State. I feel like they've been kind of
The sweep.
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just feel like they're the more veteran team. They're gonna be at home. And I don't think they want to play Oklahoma City in the first round. So I
Yeah.
feel like they're gonna be super motivated to win this game. So yeah, I'm gonna say Golden State. But now moving on to the 10-9 games, we got the Miami Heat versus the Chicago Bulls. What do you guys think?
Um, I don't know. I think just based off experience, even though losing Jimmy Butler, I think Miami's just a more experienced team. Um, Chicago also made that deadline move for Josh Giddey, I think, or maybe that was before the season started.
I think that was in the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, either way. Um, I don't know. They've been playing pretty good as of late, probably the last like month or two. They've been playing pretty good, but I just think I don't know. I think Miami's a little bit of a better team.
Honestly, I got the Bulls. I think Josh Giddey, Kobe White, they've been balling out, dude. And I think they're gonna keep it going. I got them over the Heat.
Yeah, I like the Bulls too. think they're a young, fun team. I think they're going to bring a lot of energy. Obviously, I think both teams have a decent amount of youth, so probably not as much experience. Some of the players have been there, but I just like the vibes that the Bulls have been bringing. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're a little bit more motivated, a little bit more focused. They've been, like Justin said, they've been playing good, so I think they continue that into the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. This one's tough. I think I'm gonna say Miami. I mean, I picked Tyler Hero to win the award a little bit earlier. Who knows? Maybe Bam has a big game. I really like Davion Mitchell since that trade. I feel like he's been really solid for Miami as well. So maybe he slows down Kobe White a little bit. Andrew Wiggins, stick him on Josh Giddey. We'll see. But I'm gonna say Miami. I just feel like that's got a gut feeling. And lastly, out in the West, the Mavericks versus the Kings. What do you guys think?
Maybe a
How
hot
the
take,
Mavericks have fallen.
but honestly, I got the Mavs. I think that Anthony Davis is going to have a point to prove, and he's been hearing all the fire Nico noise, and he's going to go out there and do something.
I like it.
I don't know. I just think Zach LaVine. I don't know. I've always really liked Zach LaVine. I think he's just gonna ball out. I think he's just gonna ball out. I feel like AD is gonna have a nice game, but I feel like Sabonis is gonna have, a pretty solid game to match. So they might cancel each other out, and I think Zach LaVine is gonna be the X factor to get it done for the Kings.
Yeah, I might be overthinking, but I can't remember the last time I saw Zach LaVine in the playoffs. So I feel like, um, he really hasn't. He never really had any success with the Bulls. I think he's going to come in really motivated. Uh, it might be a closer game than a lot of people think. I think the Mavs might play with a chip on their shoulder, but especially at home, I like the Kings in this one. I think they're gonna come away with the dub.
I could be wrong, but I just looked it up. No, this is correct. He's only played 4 playoff games, Zach LaVine, in his career. So that's interesting. Some guy who's really not had any kind of opportunity even to play in the playoffs. So
He's been in the league for a while now.
yeah, that's crazy.
I think he's one of those players though that like when they get hot, like they can play with anybody.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
he's a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I think I'm gonna go Sacramento. Light the beam. I
Yes,
feel like they
sir.
got it.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. The Mavericks, I mean, it's just been a season of disaster for them. I just don't see them having the motivation to win this game. But we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting offseason for Dallas. But I don't know. I don't know if it really makes sense to pick the last thing here since we all kind of went in different directions. So I don't know. Maybe we just have to wait and see what the actual matchups are.
Yeah, we can wait. We can wait.
Yeah, and we'll know the playoff matchups as well, which is going to be very exciting. Wow, it's really here. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we made it.
Yes,
But
sir.
What a
any
season.
any parting words? Shout out to Rory McIlroy, Masters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we depart, just real quick, I'm gonna give my 8-9 matchup in the West. I think Zach LaVine's gonna have another nice little playing game, and I think he's gonna knock the Grizzlies out of the play-in for that.
Oh,
Well, building off of that, my last words are going to be go Grizzlies and Adam Silver, make sure it's a fair game.
Tell Ja to stop throwing grenades in the crowd.
Nah, I keep throwing them.
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, good stuff, boys.
Yes,
And,
sir.
Next week we'll be in the thick of it. So until then, we'll be seeing you.
Have a nice one.
Yep. Have a good
Yeah.
one, boys.